Surviving Reality contains explicit content full of snark and sarcasm that may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Surviving Reality.
I'm Corey.
And I'm Carly, and we're back with an oldie but a goodie. This is a 2021 documentary.
2021.
WeWork, or the making and breaking of a $47 billion unicorn.
Was it 47 or 46?
I copy and pasted that directly from the title, so...
Maybe I hit
47.
the wrong number. Yeah, 47, I guess.
Does it really make a difference? Are we going to fight over that last billion when we're up that high?
It's a rounding issue. If we learned anything from OceanGate, close enough, you know?
This is on Hulu if you want to check it out. And you're probably thinking, you're talking about WeWork? I've heard this story a million times. How can you make this interesting?
Well, there's been some recent updates, more so. So, I mean, like,
Corey, you're bearing the lead. Corey has personal first-hand experience with WeWork.
That is, cat's out of the bag on that one. I've been to a WeWork seminar. What do you want to call this? It was their annual meeting.
One of their events.
One of their events. Funnily enough, it was overstaffed because, yes, they were hemorrhaging money, so they didn't care what the price tag was on anything.
Just hired everybody.
I was there for absolutely no reason. I was babysitting a team that was doing what I would normally do.
So then you got to observe a lot.
I just got to, I was just kind of taking it all in, I suppose, at the time. But I caught them like right at the cusp. I think I was either right around the time. We'll get to it. We'll kind of flag the time frame.
A crucial point in WeWork's history.
Yeah.
Now looking back on it as a company.
At that point, yes.
Well, we begin and we meet Adam Neumann, mid-fart, in the middle of a very chaotic presentation.
This is a great look behind the scenes of exactly what this experience is like to work with these types of folks on a regular basis. If you're doing on-site production, if you're filming things, this is the behind the scenes footage, raw footage of exactly the type of experience you get. You get shit on.
Yeah, this is really your old world, huh? Working with corporate executives, filming nonsense that they're going to push out in a big meeting.
Well, sometimes it's nonsense. And yeah, I've been to enough of these meetings where you know when people are presenting things where it's, okay, this is based on facts, numbers, details that they have, that they track and that they maintain as part of their business structure versus what's some just kind of flowery language that's propping up some weird ideas here.
That's a lot of what he's spewing.
A lot of
philosophical speaking.
Yeah, I think that was the main push. It's like, it all feels like propaganda, though, because then there's this whole narrative about how technology, but like humanity is bigger than technology. Technology is a tool for humans to connect. And it's like, it's a lot of things where, yes, you can agree with what is being said, because I think that was what Carly was buying into. A lot of these sound clips at the beginning.
I love the mission.
Well, yeah,
That's what they're selling you, though.
It sounds good.
They're selling you the mission statement of the company.
Yeah.
But he can never get beyond that. That's the problem.
Yeah, or like, how do we deliver on that? Oh, those some complexity issues that come up from that.
Which is funny, because then I have had the past experience of working at a company where we had a CEO very much like Adam Neumann, who was really good at selling an idea, but not executing on it, and was good at raising money, which is the same thing that he's going to be doing. And then the company fell apart at the end.
There you go. So, I mean, the backstory to the backstory here, because then even taking another jump back here for Adam's history is the 2008 real estate crash. Everybody sees tech as like the savior for this. Adam is newly immigrated to America. He's in New York. He's trying to figure out, it becomes like this change the world pitch that he builds.
It's very clear he's going to start a company, but he's not sure what that company is going to be just yet.
He's full of ideas, but they're not good ideas yet. He came up with crawlers, which is the padded knee onesie suits for babies.
I'm sorry, isn't this like a product on It's Always Sunny?
The kitten mittens? No, that's different.
I mean, similar but different.
Similar but different. He talked about
It's not
this.
that far of a departure.
Adam talked about this at the meeting that I was at too. So this was
He
not
did?
new to me. Yeah, like it's
Why would you still be bragging about that as
not
your
bragging.
past?
So I mean, I think it's to show like you hear a lot of crazy things from Adam, and it's like that's not the craziest thing. Like he tried to run with that was a business that he was trying to develop at one time.
Man, I think I would like make sure that was excluded from any biography
Scrub.
ever written about me.
Scrub
it would be
that.
on my list of things that if I do interviews, I don't want to be asked about.
What gets me in this doc is okay, so they kind of undercut the relationship where it's like Adam and Miguel, because you kind of hear about Miguel in passing in this documentary, where you get to know a little bit more of his mentality and things that he was thinking about and things that he was going through is through there's a great podcast called We Crashed, and that has if you watch this documentary and you like that and you want to learn more about it, I would highly recommend that. It's a Wondery podcast and it's really, really good. It goes into a little bit more detail about kind of that dynamic between the two of them.
Yeah, are they not allowed to mention Miguel's last name in this documentary because they never said it? They kept talking about Adam, like full Christian name.
Adam completely overshadows Miguel in every single sense of everything. I got a kick out of Miguel. I liked Miguel more than Adam when I was there and experiencing it live and in person. I don't know if it's just because...
Did you sense something was off?
Well, probably a little bit of that.
Well, that's part of my problem with this is doesn't Miguel have accountability as well? But they're pinning everything on Adam because he's the CEO.
I think Miguel steps in as CEO after Adam leaves, I think. But also, like, Miguel, who does Miguel remind you of?
Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, Matthew McConaughey. Okay. Well, if you saw him in person, you'd see he's very, very, very tall.
Are both of them are?
Both of them
because
are.
Adam was really tall too. Someone
Miguel
made
is
sure to talk about
taller
that.
than Adam.
So these are just freakishly tall people.
Freakishly tall people who
I don't
grew
like
up on
that.
communes.
That makes me uncomfortable.
But they have a similar
Because they're
view
really
of the world.
lording over you on the stage.
Kind
huh?
of. Yeah, it's like these larger than life personalities that you experience. Now, he reminds me of Jason Segel, right? From
Oh, I agree with that.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yeah,
Right?
I can see it.
A little bit of that.
If he and Matthew McConaughey had a baby.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's going to be hard to do, but maybe they might be able to talk about a way to do that.
They bond over having similar childhoods because Miguel grew up on a commune in Oregon and Adam grew up on a kibbutz. So this idea of community and working together to help one another is what brings them to found WeWork.
So they start talking. They have a napkin sketch of an idea of a company because they're talking about, how can we build community and spaces and using real estate to do that? Because real estate has crashed. It's 2008 or just after that. It's amid the Great Recession. They're trying to capitalize on this failed industry here. So how do we infuse tech into real estate and then make a shitload of money out of that? And there's already some competitors in the space. They talk about Regis, I think it was. It's very corporate. It's very dull. They showed one of their entrance videos. It's like a dentist's office. It's not really the hip, young, energetic feel that you're going for.
Well, that's what I think they really excelled at with WeWork was the marketing of it.
Marketing and design. Yeah,
Making
there's
it-
like
That's part of the marketing
Oh, yeah.
is to make it look cool.
the
Make
look.
people feel like it's a place you want to be, that they're doing something innovative here.
And
it's
you're
not
missing
a
out.
regular office
If
space.
you're not here, it's the fear of missing out. You're going to get the FOMO. And so you have to be a member of this community too.
If I'm correct in how it works, you join WeWork. Do you pay like a subscription or something to participate essentially?
So there's like desks that you rent or offices. So,
So
depending on the
it's
space,
Hoteling.
kind of. So, well,
You're renting your office space, your desk, or they did have offices at one point before.
they have all, so it depends on what you're doing. And like, it depends on what your business is or what your price range is. So there was kind of like a scaled, flexible model of what you would have access to. But basically, WeWork has the spaces. So the actual building or a floor of a building in major metropolitan areas where the whole space is WeWork. And then you could sublease from them for a cost, which that is your membership fees and whatever else that's associated with that, to have a phone number, a desk, a conference room that you would have access to, because there's these communal spaces that they build out too. So like that was the main draw, or like the main goal, was to have tenants and have so much buzz and so much buildup where there's a wait list for people who are trying to get in on this.
So it's beneficial to independent contractors or entrepreneurs because they're giving you a space that like legitimizes you.
It looks professional. Yeah. And it looks like you have your shit together. And that's what they're kind of saying is like all of these tech startups that are trying to break into the business here as part of the Great Recession. This legitimizes you. And it also puts you in an area where you're around a lot of other like-minded people who are also running a business, or it's kind of a networking component that comes into that too.
That kind of sounds like what corporate America told us it was going to be like when we all had to go back to the office and couldn't work at home anymore.
You know, maybe that's where they got the idea from, because it was probably just as big of a ruse as this time around. But no, there was a little bit more art school to it for WeWork, where it's like, do what you love. And there's like these different kind of murals and graffiti that gets put up because it makes the space hip and cool and young. And there's a better vibe than just the dull, drab cubicle world that you would normally be navigating.
Still appealing to me. Maybe it's the millennial in me, because that's who this is catering to.
It sounds good. Yeah, like on paper, it sounds good in the ideas that happen. And if you just get like a piece of it, because this is one part of it, is like the real estate, the job market, or like the office space stuff. That's like one subset of WeWork. They kind of go off the rails there a little bit. But when you're coming in 2012, it's sounding very concentrated, very something that you can get behind. Okay, yeah, this sounds good.
It evolves a little bit from there. We start with the WeWork Summer Camp, which is the cornerstone of what will become their events side of the business.
Which maybe inspired Firefest as well, because people were describing this as Firefest gone right.
It looked fun. I cannot believe the amount of activities that they came up for people to do.
There's a ton of stuff.
Like, I would not be able to think of that many things. There's archery. There's people running into each other wearing bubble outfits. They're water skiing, drinking heavily. That's a big part of it.
There's a lot of drinking. Yeah, a lot of alcohol to consume. There's concerts. There's nightlife as part of this too. So it's like a whole festival escape. And this is all put on by WeWork. So everybody who's available, from employee standpoint, member standpoint, you're all invited to this summer camp retreat in the middle of nowhere where we just make this happen. It's like Woodstock.
Again, this is just about optics. It's to create something that can then be Instagrammable.
Yeah.
That people are going to share and talk about and hopefully become viral.
This is a marketing thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Of like, this is better than any commercial that you can get for a recruitment thing. Because people are going to say, wow, where the hell were you? I want to be there next year. And you make it look enticing in that way. Here's my other startup red flag: work hard, play hard environment. That should be up in warning lights, flashing danger, because that means you're going to get overworked. You're going to get burnt out. That's what that code is.
Adam loves to talk about not going to sleep, like working until 3 a.m. in the morning.
Hustle culture at its most toxic levels in terms of any of the stuff that you hear Adam talking about.
It's starting to get kind of weird, though. I mean, that's unique. It's different. Maybe it looks fun. This company must have a lot of money that they're able to put on these types of events.
They're doing well. They're doing something right if they're able to blow all this money annually on a retreat like this.
But they're continuing to build a culture that young people coming into the workforce for the first time maybe don't realize is a little off. They are chanting at company meetings. So the people who work at WeWork, there's like a gong that is involved.
All of these things were at the tech startup that I used to work at too, by the way.
No way.
Yeah. Not out of
the
ordinary.
Chant in company meetings.
Not chanting in company meetings, but there was. Do you remember when I made you watch I Heart Huckabees? And then Jude Law's character in that movie, he had like that story. It was the Shania Twain story. And that was like his whole persona. His entire identity was wrapped up in the Shania Twain story. Do you remember this at all?
How is that? I got to know how this fits
I'm tying it back into here. I was just checking to see, do we have that bit of information that we can relate to?
Keeping up with you.
Okay. There was somebody who I used to work with where he had a thing that he would do where it was like getting up on a table to like lead in a call and response thing was like his thing that the executives loved for him to do. And that was like his trick that they would call him out to do. And I was like, wow, this reminds me a lot of I Heart Huckabees, where like his identity is in that thing. So if he like stops doing that thing, he's not going to be valuable to the company anymore and he won't work here anymore. Like, so like that was the comparison that I drew in my mind personally, but I never brought it up to anybody, obviously. This is unrelated.
It's giving cult. That's giving cult a little bit, but WeWork is definitely.
The sales team would ring a gong if they landed big sales.
We had that too at a place I worked.
Or like ring a bell or so, you know, salespeople need to have something they can look forward to.
Yeah. We got a little champagne bell at one point.
Oh, a champagne bell. Yeah, that's good.
Once the gong got taken away because they
it hit a little too hard.
They didn't have enough sales. It wasn't being used very often.
Boy. Well, that's not a good look either. All to say, this is Adam's way of convincing people to work for cheap, because that was the same thing with the summer camp where he was telling the events team what the budget was, and they were like, that's not enough to do what this is. And he's like, no, listen, you're going to do it cheap this year because you're going to have so much more work with us. We're going to keep you so busy. It's going to be so successful. It's going to grow. So that's where Adam isn't really a CEO. He's more of a salesman. And the sale that he is landing is always this idea of this bigger, broader thing. It's not just about offices and spaces for people to work and desks. It's about a bigger thing than that. It's how humans interact.
We're changing the world here. So do you want to be part of a company that has such a noble mission? Do you want to grow here with us doing that? Or do you want to just go back to working some run-of-the-mill corporate America job where at the end of the day, all you do is make the company money?
The millennials are eating it up because, like he knows that. He knows that that's the way to appeal to this workforce that is now coming in. Because obviously you can take a quick glance around at the structure of the company and realize they're not really practicing what they preach on, because the corporate structure, the people who are in power within this company in and of itself, it's a very rich white boy bro culture that emerges here. So it's just, there's these little things, people aren't really looking at it objectively.
There are signs.
There are signs and warnings, telltale signs, but they're not seeing that right now. It's just, you're hearing all the good stuff. That's what it is. We start to learn about Adam's nomadic childhood, how he's always searched for belonging. There's this bigger calling that he has that he applies to this too. So it's all that connection and that resonance for, he's trying to build an army here to work for him without question, relentlessly, at all costs. It felt like sermons, didn't it? It felt like youth group summer camp.
He's got a little bit of an evangelical preacher youth group leader feel.
Because these are like spiritual experiences that people are having, where this is very similar to a lot of religions in that way, where you have these weekly services, right? You get together for. Anytime you gather a large amount of people for a shared experience, that's what that feeling kind of is. Whether it's a rock concert or a sporting event, you're having that many people who are focused in one area for a shared experience. That's just what happens.
Well, and what struck me is that a lot of these meetings aren't, hey, let's sit down and talk about the roadmap for the future and how we get here. Let's have a spotlight on this one area of the company and learn a little bit more about what they're doing. No, it's all these really aspirational speeches about where they're going, but there's not a whole lot of substance beyond that.
So he's selling this dream, this ideology to people who long for a purpose, basically. And then my favorite part was the security guard who asked the lawyer at the event, can I ask you a serious question? Is this a cult or something? Like, is this some kind of what is this? What are we doing here at the event space? Because he was just like working with the venue. And that was my similar experience too, of just walking into this.
The people on the inside aren't really seeing it, but the casual passerby who just happens to somehow get involved in what's going on is questioning how things are working. What are they talking about? It seems a little weird.
So if you thought that was weird, that was just starting with the WeWork brand. And now it starts branching out into a new secret underground development that's happening, an eyes wide shut sort of invite that just shows up at your door where they're launching WeLive, which is like an apartment version of WeWork.
The idea that it's exclusive is very important.
Well, it's exclusive to mostly WeWork employees at this time.
So you're just going to pay to live here from the money that you receive for working here. That's not odd at all. And then you're going to pretty much only ever interact with people within the WeWork bubble.
It's giving company town, mining town.
Yes.
A little bit. It's starting to. And so that's another little red flag that just comes creeping in here.
Also, these spaces like kind of suck. They're really pretty.
They look great because, again, the design, the aesthetic, top notch.
But it's 200 square feet and it's your living space / working space. Plus, then you have to then go work at the WeWork space. But it's so small that they have Murphy beds that they have to put up when they're not using them.
So it just ends up being this weird employee insulated utopia of WeWork people who are all single. So they're kind of just single and ready to mingle a little bit too. That might be the other added benefit here. I don't know if they emphasized or put that on the brochure.
It's also going to be its own dating app.
Yeah, that's what it. Yeah, We Date. I'm surprised they didn't think of that. That could have been.
They didn't get that far.
No, yeah.
They needed to have more millennials
right
working on the evolution of the company, the different branches.
It had to be.
I'm shocked this did not become something that other companies wanted to do. WeLive.
Tesla kind of did. They tried to.
No, I know they are.
Not great.
But I see Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook loving this idea. We'll give you 200 square feet to live in. We'll charge you the same amount of money as it costs for an apartment in downtown San Francisco.
We'll just take it out of your paycheck before it hits your bank account, and you won't even notice how much we're charging you. Just like what we do for your healthcare costs right now. We're just ripping it out of your pocket before it even gets there. It's great.
As you would expect, it's not great.
I think you're missing the goal here, because now the goal that we're growing into is not just WeWork, not just WeLive. It's to become a unicorn.
They want to become a $1 billion company, which I guess is what a unicorn is.
The valuation goal of $1 billion. Yeah, a venture capital valuation of $1 billion.
I kind of think that they expanded to WeLive because they wanted to accumulate more real estate so that they could further inflate their valuation, because that's a big piece of how they're doing it. And there wasn't enough demand for the WeWork office spaces yet. So they did it with this co-living situation. It's kind of like a dorm.
Yeah,
college dorm.
Shared living space. And it's fine that there's only 200 square foot, because you just go to the common areas. Spend most of your time in the common areas. That's where we're trying to funnel all of these interactions with people. No private time to yourself. Just spend all of your time with these other WeWork people. And that's your entire social interaction, social circle too. What's interesting here is that they've already reached $1 billion valuation, but then they're not telling anybody that. So then they keep selling themselves as this new tech startup who's all hip and new to the scene and get here early, get on the ground floor. It's like investing in Uber, and you already missed the boat on that. So invest in WeWork. And nobody realizes that, oh, they've already surpassed this unicorn assessment.
Yeah, they're doing that so they can keep raising money.
They just keep raising money.
Because nobody's going to give you more if they know that you're already valued at $1 billion.
Yeah. So they end up, after that round, $1.6 billion valuation that is now tacked on here. No big deal.
The problem, though, is that this is really, at its core, a real estate company.
And you're doing real estate in New York City, where it is brutal. It's cutthroat. There's not really businesses that are in the real estate business. It's families. It's these dynasties, these groups of people who own all this property in New York. So it's tough to break in. So they're not buying property. They're leasing it.
Which sounds terrible because that means you have a lot of overhead in what you're then putting out in an expense, and you don't own anything that's worth money. You have nothing to sell at the end if you need to liquidate something.
The issue or the lessons learned that Adam has talked about more recently, because yes, he's still in the news. We'll get to that a little bit more too. His lessons learned was that they were leasing for these long-term 15-year leases that they were locked in on as a company. And then their memberships, they could leave within a month. They could just back out of it. So then you lose on that deal because you're not locking anything in long-term for your income, but your hard costs are definitely locked in for that long term. But once the real estate tycoons in New York start hearing about this business model, they're kind of getting a general grasp of what the WeWork model is. And they're starting to give it a thumbs up saying, yeah, that sounds good. It's like a seal of approval now by having all of these people who are very big in real estate be tricked into Adam's ideology here that, hey, this is a really good idea and it's going to change the world.
Well, good. That means that we can focus on more important things like making you seem like the next Steve Jobs, which I guess is Rachel's role. Rebecca.
Yeah.
Is Adam's wife. And they keep...
Well, she's not just a wife.
She somehow becomes a co-founder, even though she was not involved in founding the company originally. But she has a huge amount of influence over what they're going to do in the future and also Adam's image. She's very focused on that.
I noticed that you failed to mention her filmmaking and actress credentials as well, Carly. Was there a reason why you skipped over that part of her resume? We did see some samples in the doc.
It didn't really seem relevant.
Didn't really resonate either. When anybody says that they went and saw your film and it was interesting, it means it wasn't good.
She got bored of whatever it was she was doing before with this acting career, and they found a place for her in the company.
I think her main job was name dropping because she constantly mentions how she's she's cousins with Gwyneth Paltrow. At the meeting that I was at, she's also related to the lead singer of Red Hot Chili Peppers. The Red Hot Chili Peppers performed at that event. I did not attend that evening.
Oh, that's so weird.
But that was another thing. They had an entire segment where it was just Rebekah talking to the lead singer of Red Hot Chili Peppers, and that was an entire part of their annual business meeting. It was bizarre.
That's not even the weirder part about her. She's also Adam's spiritual advisor. That's conflated like into her company role too. She's another one that says a lot, but there's not much going on there.
Yeah, and she usually has to say, she seems to be the only one who can like convince Adam of anything. So maybe that is kind of the role that she plays, but it seems like she's just feeding into a lot of his delusions. She's not a centering force to root him in reality of any kind. She just keeps fanning the flames of this ego that he's building.
And he's not the only one because they expand the C-suite. They have CEOs for every region. And it's really just a bunch of people that participate in these company meetings and like to be the center of attention.
This is where, yeah, it's the propaganda. There's these videos that they make about the cool get to know ya CEO segments that happen here. There is no diversity when you hit that level of the C-suite. They're also actively, we already talked a little bit about how their camping excursion, the summer camp, was on a pretty skimpy budget initially there. They're convincing a lot of people to take reduced salaries with stock option verbiage instead.
Let's talk about the stock option because a lot of the employees didn't really read and fully understand what they were getting. First of all, this is a private company still.
Yes,
There's been no IPO. It is not publicly traded.
Yeah.
This is a stock option for you to exercise in the future if they become a publicly traded company. And nobody really understands how much their stock is worth. And the answer is very little. But they're talking to them like this is going to be other tech startups where they go public and you become a millionaire.
So people don't understand the difference between stock options and actually holding equity in a company. So if you don't exercise a stock option, you don't actually hold any of the equity because you don't have a share of the company.
They still have to purchase their stock at some point if it becomes available, and then hope that it becomes more valuable.
Usually whatever your rate is that you get locked in at, for your stock option deal, which at the tech startup that I worked at, I think was about 6 or 7 cents per share, which, that would be great if your company goes on an IPO and becomes publicly available, and now it's selling for $25 a share, and hey, you can buy up to this many at this reduced price instead, because that was what you got hired in at, their valuation price, and it's locked in for that rate. That's great if you execute on it. So I think that was the thing that most people did.
If they ever become if they ever have an IPO and become a publicly traded company.
Well, that too.
That's kind of the first barrier to that becoming worth anything. There are other signals that maybe things aren't going so well. They're looking around, and everyone used to have a nice, spacious area to work from. And now they're shoving people into more clustered spaces together. If you had an office, they're taking that away from you. They're packing 2-3 people in there. Been there, done that. I worked at a company where we had people working in closets.
Ooh.
2 people in a closet.
2 people in a closet?
Like, with a door. Like, it was a closet with a door.
Well, you mean an office then? At that point. You mean an office.
Window.
No.
No window. It was a full-on closet.
Well, there you go. Moving on up. Because the hypocrisy starts creeping in very quickly, because Adam is making the push for smaller for everyone else, but then you go into his office and it's basically a mansion.
Okay, but that's also part of the image that they have to show to people when they come in, because he's still trying to raise money. That's all he's doing. That's Adam's role, is to raise money.
Well, he's spending it pretty quickly too, because then he's trying to encourage everyone, we need to save $1 million this year. And then he goes and buys a $60 million private jet. So while you are making these cuts, he seems to be spending more than they're saving in a lot of instances too. So what does that lead to? We have to lay some people off. We got to lay off 7% of the staff.
They're really making him seem like a monster, but this is really some run-of-the-mill CEO stuff.
This is basic. This is day one stuff in corporate America.
Yeah. I love the whistleblower.
Oh, yeah.
Who defends finding this information out and leaking it to the media because her boss routinely gave her his passwords to then log in and do work for him.
So that's a pretty sweet deal.
So she happened to be logged in his email and sees an interesting email title. And she's reading through the thread and she discovers the information about this layoff.
Her name is on the list.
And so she says, I'm burning this bitch down.
You know what? If they're already going to lay me off, what are they going to do? Fire me?
What do I have to lose?
Yeah, come on. So she starts digging around a little bit. Since she's got her boss's credentials, she's getting access to files that maybe she should or should not have access to. So she's noticing they're messing with all of their financial numbers. There's like adjusted revenue that is down 80%. These numbers are terrible. They're keeping everything hush-hush because they want to keep the investments coming in. Obviously, you have to keep the gravy train rolling.
So she leaks this to the media.
Figures if it gets out there, then people will know this guy's a fraudster, and then that'll be the end of it here, or that'll slow things down. No. Adam gets in the media. He's lying his ass off. He's talking about how great the cash flow is on the business, how wonderful things are. They're actually the victim of this information leak. WeWork is suffering for this. It's
a disgruntled employee.
Yes.
Somehow this leads to them getting a $4 billion investment from a Japanese investor.
Yeah, this is when SoftBank enters the picture here. And their whole thing was that, they have this venture capital fund, the Vision Fund, that is just a shitload of money. And they're basically trying to find the next big tech company to change the world. They want to get in at the ground level of Uber, Microsoft, you name it. They want this. So they're trying to find these different companies that they can throw some money at, have a stake in that company, and then make a shitload of money on the back end.
This is crazy because what they tell Adam to do is take this global. Whereas it doesn't seem like he's actually been able to prove that within the New York City area itself, this is a successful business model that can be replicated in other places. But here's $4 billion, which Adam treats like a blank check to go do this.
I think this speaks more to, again, just this model in general, not the WeWork model, but the venture capital model of Masa has all this money from SoftBank. He gives Adam the opportunity to pitch WeWork as a company for him to invest in. This man shows up incredibly late, tells him, we have 12 minutes to tour your facility and talk about this business deal. Adam tries his best. It's not going great. We have to leave, but you can hop in the car with us and continue your pitch on the way to our next meeting. So we're taking about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, give or take, to determine what we're going to do with $4 billion in funds.
Well, he had already decided he was going to invest in the company.
It had to have been, right?
Yeah.
So, this is the level here where now Masa is instilling a whole new level of delusion into Adam, where he's asking him weird hypothetical questions. Who wins a fight? Crazy guy or smart guy?
The crazy guy.
Obviously, crazy guy. But you are a crazy guy, but you're not crazy enough. You need to get crazier. So you're telling Adam, who does not have a viable company at this point.
Look, we were already pretty far on the crazy scale.
We're pretty crazy right now.
He's telling him, dial it up. We want more.
I'm not even getting a whiff of crazy from you right now.
Full insanity. That's what we want.
Show me that crazy. And then he just hands him $4 billion and says, dream bigger. So usually going global, yeah, you need to have a basis, a foundation, something that's a little bit more stable than this. No, they just jump right into full expansion. They are renovating properties. They're showing up on release day or opening day for these things. They're still painting stuff.
All they care about is the headline that they're getting, that they're opening however many offices. So there are issues where the air conditioning doesn't work, or like you said, it's half-assed, pieced together. It's not actually ready to open and have people work there. It's very Titanic, very Mr. Andrews.
They're calling it, they're referring to it as used car lot. You have a number. What's your quota? We got to get this many offices open. Will this deal push us to that number? That's what we need to do. So they start dealing in volume here.
They have another problem too, because big companies are looking at the fact that they got all of this money as a cash infusion, and they're trying to use it to their benefit of, well, do you want our name attached to your company? Then you're going to give us a deal to work in your WeWork spaces.
Or they're just straight up taking advantage of it too, because they know, hey, you just got flush with cash from this huge infusion. You got $4 billion that you're sitting on. So you know what? Times are tight. It's a little rough for us. Maybe we wouldn't be able to make our payments for the first year or something, but we can sign a 2-year lease because they're basically trying to get office space for free. And WeWork
See, there's the
deals.
joke, because I want to know what their CEO got in a bonus that year.
Well, yeah.
That they don't have money to pay another company to provide their employees with office space.
Oh, no. And that's what I'm saying is it's the little company that they're talking about in these negotiations. Then they come to find out, oh, that was Microsoft. You don't think Microsoft can afford their rent for the first year? This is some bullshit. So they're
making really bad deals.
They're getting taken for a ride in a couple different ways here too, which is great.
Okay, we're not missing the story about the cappuccinos and the lattes.
Oh yeah, this is very important.
This is another big sign of toxic corporate culture. Adam does not understand the difference between a latte and a cappuccino. He thinks a cappuccino is a latte.
And vice versa. So what do they do? Now that that's the other thing too. WeWork is starting to acquire a bunch of startups. So as their businesses grow, they are acquiring other businesses. So now they have baristas at a bunch of the WeWork locations now who just make you a drink when you go up and order one.
Except there's an insider trick that you got to know, because if you want a latte, you have to order a cappuccino. And if you want a cappuccino, you have to order a latte. Because
Adam didn't know the difference. So instead of trying to explain to him the difference of those two things, they just flipped the names on them.
Okay. So this is how I would get fired, because there's no way I could live with that.
The emperor wears no clothes very much is what's happening here. And this is also the swing that starts to happen where you see Rebekah is getting pushed to an elevated status now, where it's Adam, Miguel, and Rebekah, because she's the spiritualist, new age driving force of this entire company. And also, we can't find a good private school for our children. So
we're going to open one.
We're going to start our own. It's WeGrow. It's a new private school education system that's about holistic teaching. They can't explain what it actually is, though.
It's going to be very accessible for, I don't know, $40,000 a year in tuition. And we can't really describe the curriculum yet, but just know
it's going to be great.
It's going to be better than anything else.
You're going to love it. Yeah, your kid's going to love it. It's preparing everyone for life.
We have not even completed the step of teaching elementary school children, but we're already thinking about how we're going to expand this into adults.
Obviously. Right. Yeah. We're still in the process of redefining workspace.
Don't you wish you were this delusional? It's really delusion that's pushing this forward.
Well, yeah, because it's like your first mission was to completely redefine workspace and shared workspaces. You haven't really done that. I mean, you're still in the process of expanding, but it's not like a global thing where you are the go-to for that. Now you're going to take on, just education. We're just going to reform the way that people educate their children. And that's something that we're going to do privately too.
So we're tackling the career field with how people work. We're changing the way people live, and we're changing the field of education.
So you're seeing this is just the classic mistake of when a company has a hit and then they go to expand and they go too wide and there's too many things that they're focusing on. They lose focus of what made them good in the first place. Not that this was good in the first place. I'm talking about like Crocs. Like when Crocs really blew up, they had the Croc. And then they started all these other lines of all this other shit that you would make out of Croc materials and other Croc variants. These sandals that don't really look like Crocs.
And people said, I don't like those. I liked the ugly
Give me the
original Croc.
I want the Croc shoe Croc. Give me the Croc.
They almost went out of business. And then they reverted back to what they were originally good at. And they became the Crocs of today.
Dial it back in. Yeah. So, I mean, tale as old as time. Not that WeWork has their stuff figured out anyway, but you can see the focus is shifting. It's broadening out, and now the wheels are going to come off.
Rebekah a pet project.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, she's passionate about education or private school. She's very passionate about sending upper class children in the New York City area to an overpriced private school.
This is very Marie Antoinette of like, yes. I can't find a good farm.
Let her build her Hamlet.
Yeah, like I can't find a good farm. I'll build my own farm for my kids to experience.
And we're going to cosplay this being a school.
It'll be great. So what I was getting whiffs of was WeMonopoly. Because this is, you have like workplace stuff, you have living stuff, you have education stuff. You want to be in everyone's lives in every way, shape, and form.
They want to fully immerse themselves in every aspect of your life, which is not unlike a lot of other companies and what their real missions are.
Right. So that's where it gets interesting here. What we're starting to hear, though, from the experience of people who are living here. So we had like August, the one guy who was a filmmaker who broke his lease to move into a WeLive space and kind of started regretting it because now he's seeing if I had people who lived outside of the We bubble, then I'm basically living in isolation now. I've lost contact with those people. It's weird when they come over.
We need to experience this. Like, I wish we could go back and see what it was like because people come over and experience the WeLive environment, the space that he's living in. They never come back. He never hears from him again.
Well, then there's, like the tours that they're setting up for potential tenants to move into the space. Now that you live in the WeLive building, you become a prop for the WeLive space where they just tell you, hey, we have a tour at this time, or we're bringing by an investor who Adam is going to be showing around. You need to populate the space and show how great it is. So be in the common area from this time window and make sure to have the Biggie Smalls soundtrack playing on repeat. So it's a fun, hip vibe when people come in here.
Okay, though, been there, done that before because
I've done this too. I've been a prop for a tour for Residence Life at my college.
Well, a place that I worked, when we would have certain clients come in, they would tell us, you cannot have any other brand of, like, say, coffee. They would send a mass email out. And then there would, the day that this other company came in, magically be a whole bunch of their branded items.
Right.
For us to then take and have around the office for then when they came in and walked around. Like, they're not going to notice that that's a little odd.
It's all their stuff. They're used to seeing it.
As though they're going to continue to be a client of ours because the employees who work here like to drink their coffee.
Well, I think that's just a respect thing, too. If you're doing business with Coke, it would be rude to have a bunch of Pepsis out at the meeting and offering that to people at Coke. Seems like a slap in the face.
No, for sure. We were not allowed to do that.
Yeah, no. So,
but to take it to the point that anyone in the building cannot have a competitor's item with them that day.
It's tough to enforce. But this is where we start to get into a little bit more of the mythos of Adam, where it's like building up this persona. But like, there are people who are falling out of Adam's orbit. And then if you're not getting that infusion of propaganda directly from him on a regular basis, you start to see the holes in the business, as it were.
And there are a lot of holes. They're cooking the books, is what we find out. They're overvaluing the real estate that they lease, which, why is that even part of what your company is worth? Because you can't sell it. I guess you could turn around and lease it if you have the right to sublease the property.
It's hard to determine what they're using as this valuation, because that's where they're blurring the lines, is they're trying to say we're not a real estate company, even though very clearly
but most of the value of our company is coming from the real estate.
Most of it is tied to real estate, and we are, the basic principle of that is that we rent space and then we rent it out to other people for more money than what we pay. So yeah, you're a landlord in that way for short-term leases, and you're subletting your own leases to other people then. They don't like that. That sounds too boring. So they have to say, no, we're not a real estate company. And they make that correction anytime anybody says, well, you're basically just subletting stuff, right? No. We're a tech company. We have all of these great technological advancements. Some of these other acquisitions that we made are building. We can see security camera footage of where human interactions are taking place in spaces. That's the value that we bring.
I do think that that's interesting. And I'll tell you why.
It looks interesting. I bet you dollars to donuts, it didn't even fucking work. Whatever they had, that's just hot maps of footprints that were going around. Yeah, great. Okay.
I'm just saying, coming from a post-COVID world where everyone was asked to come back to the office and told that it was for the purposes of collaboration, that it would be interesting to have data to show where people actually commune and collaborate together. Because what I've noticed is it's not when everyone goes to their desk and takes all their calls all day from there.
Here's the fun fact. They don't. So they're never going to release that information because that's detrimental to them bringing everyone back into an office.
Well, it could be really interesting if you're trying to design your office space. Remember when everyone went from having cubicles to having open office spaces? And then we all discovered that's how disease just spreads through buildings quickly.
Or, yeah, you have a couple of loud phone talkers, and then that's just disrupting
makes it horribly
everyone.
Impossible for neurodivergent people to be able to focus and work from the office. But maybe as you're redesigning your office space, it would be valuable to know what types of spaces encourage collaboration. But they didn't even use it for that.
They're not doing that. Well, they had all these other useless things. So it was like their own internal version of LinkedIn, kind of, where, so it was like the WeWork network that they were building out of, if you had a job position that you were trying to fill, you could post it on the WeWork site.
Stop trying to make that happen. You guys, in the comments, I want you to let us know if you work at a company that has their own internal version of LinkedIn. It's
are you
like
talking
an office?
I was gonna say, like, are you talking about like Slack, or if you're going that general too?
No,
not even Slack. Like, no, it was like the different sites that you could have.
Not
where it's
like an
internal
interweb.
comms. Yeah.
No, this is like, it's a networking site within your company where they encourage you to upload your resume, to try to network with other people who work in similar positions as you, or maybe a position that you may be interested in the future. But it's all just isolated within the company. Whereas people already use LinkedIn because in the future, if they want to work somewhere else, having a LinkedIn presence is valuable.
Well, that's why Microsoft bought LinkedIn. Now it's their own internal site for Microsoft. Basically, yeah, it just works the same way. They just bought it.
You don't know that. I'm sure they have their own. It's duplicative and they're spending money on both.
Probably. But no, okay, so the irony is that the fraud and the hypocrisy of WeWork is then pointed out by a WeWork-owned independent company who's like part of WeWork. Their startup, their tech startup, is that they search and aggregate data that's just out and available on the internet. And so they punched in some WeWork stuff because if you're in WeWork, all you think about is WeWork. That's all they want you to think about. So, hey, why not pull up some stuff? What can we get? What's floating around out there on the internet about WeWork? And they come to find out nobody uses the intranet site that they keep touting about the great response that it has and this big support system that's available as part of their selling features.
And the churn rate of the company is extremely high. People come to WeWork, they disappear. They're not staying here long term.
The companies, the tenants too. So it's just the churn rate in general is very high.
I'm starting to not feel bad for SoftBank because while all this information has come out, so this is the second time there's been some type of whistleblowing where there's been holes poked in WeWork's business.
I mean, this was just like a blog post, so maybe not as official as the last time, but WeWork's response to it seemed to validate it very quickly because they went to them and were like, hey, you guys need to take that down. And if you don't take it down, we're terminating your membership and you need to be out in 30 minutes. So that seems to be like, maybe you're on the right track with something here. Does it add validity in that case? Maybe.
Well, there's a rumor that SoftBank is going to invest an additional $20 billion into the business. They haven't gotten their $4 billion back yet. And Adam is very, very confident that this deal is happening. They're talking about it internally like it's already done. Everyone goes home for Christmas Eve to enjoy it with their families, or maybe to work till 3 a.m. like Adam. And then he gets a call and gets told they're not comfortable making the investment. There's no more money coming.
This was a game of chicken, too, because Adam was basically seeing it as, well, they already invested $4 billion and they haven't seen a return yet. So they're not going to walk away now. Like, we have the big fish on the line and they're just going to have to keep dumping money into us until we turn a profit, because they're saying that they're turning a profit. But then that's when we found out about this like adjusted, community adjusted EBITDA. They're coming up with their own financial numbers to make the bars go up in the right direction.
They're changing the calculations to just not factor in all the expenses and only keep all the profit.
No. Yeah, that's not a cost. That's an investment. So that's a community investment. And that is increasing. That's a profit because it's a return on investment because we get more people and it makes the space better. So they're rationalizing all this stuff. And again, because they're private, they don't need to answer to anybody about any of this. So whatever they're putting on the slides, that's what's going up there. So Adam thinks he has kind of a bottomless piggy bank at his disposal here. And SoftBank is letting him know that's not the case. We're done. So now Adam's really stuck because you can't go get other investments, because that will just be an immediate red flag for everyone else of saying,
why won't SoftBank give you more money?
SoftBank put $4 billion into you. Why do you need more money? And why aren't they giving it to you?
It's okay, though, because Ashton Kutcher still has confidence in WeWork.
He invested in Uber. So you should listen to Ashton Kutcher for investment advice.
They're just going to line up Ashton Kutcher, Gwyneth Paltrow, the guy from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
And be like, see?
That's a pretty solid lineup for mid-2010s, but not so great now.
Well, then the shit hits the fan because I think he had his back up against the wall that now they have to do their IPO. They have to become a publicly traded company because there's no way they're going to continue to have the stream of income coming from these investment firms.
they did a public fundraising, which that's scary enough, but they raised $6 billion. And now Adam's trying to say that'll keep us in operation for the next 4 to 5 years. When their burn rate per week is like $100 million, they're not going to make it to the end of the year with what they just raised. So now it comes time for this IPO.
This is a Hail Mary.
This was lingering. It's been a question that people have asked. When is that shift going to happen? Because your valuation is off the charts. When are you going to go public? And it's never aligned with their vision and their strategy until they have no other option. And so now they're going to go for it. But there's this form, this pesky S1 form that you have to fill out, because if you're going to be a publicly traded company on the stock market, there's so many regulatory bodies that you have to, hoops that you have to jump through.
Yeah, it turns out you have to disclose a lot of information.
And answer questions, pointed questions, with actual documentation to back up those claims. You can't just talk your way around it.
The hope is that that means the people who invest in your company actually understand what they're investing in, unlike all of the people who have given Adam money up until this point.
Which, as it comes to find out, as what's included in their S1 form, there's a lot of money that's going into Adam's own pocket. He has been paying himself more and more and more. He's been buying properties in his name and then leasing them to WeWork. So he's paying himself to rent these spaces from himself. Rebekah's decision-making is being appointed as she will select the CEO to succeed him in the case that he is no longer able to be CEO. There's weird rules and
Like
stipulations. Like he's a king. There's just this weird dynamic in the whole thing. They're talking about the number of times that his name is mentioned. It was like over 160 times, when the normal average amount that you would see on a report of the form like that was like 30 times maybe. So it's like 5 times as much just mentioning him directly.
All not good. The employees are able to see the IPO documents, so they're reading through them, and they're all disgusted to find out how much money has been spent on Adam's personal expenses and just how the business has been functioning. It doesn't really align with the vision that they were sold.
So there's some backlash. There's some pushback on the form itself. They haven't even started in on that IPO process. This was like the first step, and they're already being laughed out of the room, basically. So Adam's been struggling with that. What's he going to do? He's going to take a month-long birthday trip to go surfing in the Maldives. He's got to take some time off. He's got to recenter himself.
He's trying to wait for the media frenzy to die down.
I think he's either buying time, or he's just trying to say, well, I'm at the end of the line here, and I might as well enjoy it while I can. This is the last hurrah, as it were, because the valuation starts tanking. They drop from 47 billion to like 10 to 15, and that's mostly just based off their real estate. I still think that's overvalued too.
The media is picking up on stories about how he's taking a private jet to Israel and smoking weed with his friends and hiding it in cereal boxes. They're trying to say he's a criminal because of that.
You know, who hasn't smoked some weed flying to Israel and stashed it in a cereal box?
The real criminal thing here was him walking around the streets of New York City barefoot.
Okay, that is certifiably insane. If you're not wearing shoes in Manhattan, you got problems.
Like, someone just tackle him and put him on a 72-hour hold. As you may expect, Adam's time as the CEO is pretty limited here. It's running out. The clock's running down.
They still have to do all of this media for the IPO. He's not showing up to these recording sessions. He's just dipping. He's bailing. They're at their wits' end with this guy. He's still trying to make something happen. They're at the deadline. He basically just bails and takes his golden parachute payout of $1.7 billion to step down as CEO.
What bullshit. Everyone else suffers. People get laid off. They lose their jobs. The investors clearly lose out on a lot of what they originally put into the company. And he rides off into the sunset with a good portion of the amount of money that SoftBank invested into the company.
I mean, that's the part that gets me too is where it's like they had to have had, I mean, there were some subsequent lawsuits and stuff like that too, but for the most part, I think he had a lot of that property in his name. It wasn't in the company's name. He was leasing it back to the company.
So then did they have to continue to pay him?
So that's what I'm saying. So
yeah,
he
if you're
had
gonna
all of
stay
those.
and occupy that space.
He had all of those assets. Yeah, that was all his. And then he had the payout on top of it too. Meanwhile, WeWork is continuing to lay people off because now the illusion has been shattered and their valuation keeps dropping and dropping. They're not making money. There is no revenue. So they're laying a bunch of people off in addition to that.
It's also annoying that he manages to get out of this before COVID starts, because not a great time for companies that work in person to be in offices or to own or lease office space. That just becomes more of a problem for the company when it was already in a bad spot as Adam left.
And honestly, like they could have made so much money in the COVID years too. Like that was companies who were trying to save money on office spaces and stuff too. And like the subsequent years that followed, because they're making this documentary in 2021, might have been end of 2020 when they were like filming it and stuff.
I guess it could have been a solution for companies that want to unload office space or lease it out and then make a profit off of it.
Right.
Damn you, WeWork. We could have kept
it was
working
so close.
from home.
So I think that's what they kind of culminate this with, is like a so close yet so far, where he had all these great ideas, but just in execution, it was absolutely terrible. And now he's like tarnished all of these talking points, which some of them were really great talking points too. Changing the world, human interaction, the betterment of all these people, and making money while doing it. Maybe not the hustle culture stuff, because I still think that's pretty toxic, but there were like good things that he was saying as part of that. And now it's become this unapproachable space that people don't want to go near because you're going to sound like Adam, kooky Adam now.
Why don't you tell us about your experience with kooky Adam?
Well, I didn't have any direct experience with him, but I was very confused because like the reason why I was there was, again, I was just like monitoring other people who were doing what I would normally be doing there. And it wasn't just for like a one-day thing. They had me out there for the whole week. So that was weird too. So they're overpaying for sure.
This is a week-long meeting?
It was a week-long. Well, I mean, it's multi-day. Yeah, they do like multiple days. And so I had to be there for like setup and testing and stuff too. So I was there for a full week pretty much. I think I was there from like Sunday through Thursday or something like that. So pretty much. I remembered not seeing the client very much either. So like the people who actually were in charge of hiring us for being there, they seemed like they had no idea what we were doing. They seemed like they had no idea what they were doing. So I guess that kind of made sense too. A lot of the stuff I was listening to for the WeWork stuff, I was like, okay, I could see how that could be a thing. And like
their presentation.
Yeah,
their
or yeah, like
meeting,
the stuff, the
content.
update that he had as part of the content, because I have to watch everything because I'm stuck sitting there for it. So I wasn't in the room with them. I was like out on the loading dock. So that was a little upsetting too, because they didn't have room for me backstage. So I was just like out in the middle of
You're
nowhere.
just like outside?
Like with the trucks. So that kind of sucked. But
you mean they didn't have an office space for you?
right. Yeah. They didn't have a desk for me. They had to set it up in the loading dock. So that was a little upsetting. But the stuff that when he started getting into, I think I was there for like the initial pitch of, they like played the video for like the school stuff that they were going to start. And I was like asking myself, how the fuck are you going to do that? And that doesn't really coincide or like make sense with the rest of the stuff. It's just things that were like important to them. And that's what they were like, oh, this is what our business is now. So that seemed to be the disconnect, was that it's just whatever they had an interest in or a personal need for, that's what their business was going to do. That was the problem it was going to solve.
I kind of suspect that that was a strategy, because the more arms of the business there are, the more they're able to inflate the value of the company. So nobody really knows where the profit's coming from. And it becomes even more complex to look at their books.
Well, especially, yeah, when they had that cash infusion, the $4 billion, and they started buying up all these little startups and stuff. And then it's now you have a ton of things under your umbrella. Where's the money coming in? Where's the money going out?
There's no way to know.
You have no idea.
I am not accountant.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, that was the other fun part too, is so I spent a lot of time backstage for this, and the crew was great, but the crew's not the company. The crew is
a third party
who they hired. Yeah. So the one guy who was there, he had been on several WeWork shows. So he was kind of talking them up and like speaking about them in a positive way.
Oh no, they brainwashed him too.
A little bit. Yeah, like brainwashing by proxy sort of what happened there. So he was a little bit into it where he was like, yeah, this is a pretty cool place. And like, they have a lot of these great ideas and stuff. There was something he was showing me around to the food where all of the food that they had backstage, because craft service is very important to me. And the food that they had, they don't have meat because it was like the agricultural impact of farming meat. They didn't support that. So they don't do meat with company stuff. And I was like, is that maybe just a way to save money too? Like, because you're not buying proteins. So that was my first thought. And then also he was very quick to like explain all of that to me about how great that is and how admirable it is for a company to have that sort of policy in place where they're not going to contribute to something if they don't believe in it. And I had to tell him, they're paying for my meals to be here, and I've definitely bought meat. So like, just so you know, like to wrap your mind around that, like
they are spending some of their money on things they don't believe in,
whether they know it or not. It's happening.
I mean, what about the carbon footprint that
to
Adam's
fly me
private
out?
jet?
Well, and to fly me out for a week too, when I did not need to be there. I will be the first person to tell you when I do not need to be on site. I did not need to be on site for that week. They flew me out there. I should have gone back in for the Red Hot Chili Peppers show. I feel like I should have. The crew was letting me know that I could attend, but I was like, nah, I think I'm good.
I gotta tell you, I would have been completely brainwashed by this company if I was in my early 20s and had been pitched this as a place to work. I would have fallen for every bit of it. I would have loved being part of the fake culture that they created until they told me that I had to attend their mandatory summer camp event.
Yeah.
And then I would have gone full disgruntled
Carly would have been unpaid internship there every day, sun up to sundown, here for it, living for it. And then as soon as they were like, yeah, the summer camp's mandatory, and she would have been like, I'm out.
I have to attend a mandatory social event with my coworkers? No.
That's going to do it for me.
That's it for me. I'm cleaning out my my 200 square foot apartment. I'll be gone tomorrow. You'll never even know I was here.
Okay, so quick updates then since 2021, because this is a little bit older now by comparison. So in 2023, WeWork filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Adam had started a residential rental company called Workflow, which is also known as Flow, not from Progressive though, different. He started that in 2022, which obviously has nothing to do with WeWork. It's totally different business because it's residential stuff. And all the lessons that he learned from the failures of WeWork, he has figured out all of the issues with that, and he has his own stuff that he's doing now. He was actually trying to buy WeWork until recently, where he was forced out of that deal because they did not want Adam to buy WeWork back. So now he's branching out where he owns buildings in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Atlanta, and soon to be Riyadh as well, because he has friends in Saudi Arabia still, somehow. The reasoning that he's giving is that his new investors are going to keep him focused.
Oh, that's good to have to babysit the person who's building these businesses that are supposed to eventually pay back your investment. That's reassuring.
And he's approaching the new business ventures with humility, where he's going to listen not just to what he wants to hear, but also to the things that he doesn't want to hear as well.
Oh, good. That's maybe the lowest bar that should be set for someone who's going to run a company.
Maybe you could have started a little bit sooner on that one.
This has to be studied. There is like a particular personality where it's people who are really good at bullshitting people and raising money. This is like the Elizabeth Holmes of the world, where I guarantee once she gets out of prison, she is going to do what she did once again. Maybe not a single drop of blood, but there'll be something that she raises money to start.
Well, and they did mention, jokingly referred to Firefest, but that guy's in the same vein too, where he was all about getting the funding secured for that. It was build it up, build it up, build it up, and then didn't deliver on it at all. And then that's all he knows. That's all he knows is how to grift money out of people, convince people to invest in an idea. So that's all he continues to do, even though legally he's not able to be involved in any businesses anymore.
This is like a whole nother level to people who are involved in MLMs.
Do you think they would bar them from that? It's not a business.
An MLM?
Yeah, could you start your own Herbalife store if you have been
Wasn't
barred?
that another one of the clients that you went to?
I didn't go to that one.
But it was a
Okay.
client of your company.
It was a client of our company. And then, yeah, a guy on my team would have to go to that. Oh, I was going to mention too, one of the guys on my team, he used to run the WeWork, like the quarterly town hall, like the internal meetings at WeWork headquarters.
With the gong?
Well, maybe not with the gong, but like he was at the employee ones for WeWork specifically. And those were absolutely terrible. I think they talk about it a little bit more on the podcast on We Crashed. They would do their town hall meetings most of the time for internal meetings. You're talking about like first thing in the morning.
Meeting.
First thing in the morning or like an afternoon. Yeah, like during the work day, it's an hour that they would set aside for that. And we would come in either like the day before or whatever and get set up for it. And then we're ready to go. WeWork would run their meetings starting at 8 or 9 o'clock at night in the evening. So
well, you should have nothing else to do.
Right.
Because all you do is think about WeWork.
That is basically what they were going for. But then I would always feel terrible sending my guy from my team on to those because he wouldn't get out of there until like 1:30 in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, because they would just run for hours at a time too. So it was
How is there
like,
even that much to talk about?
well, that's what I'm saying. It's like it was those psychological warfare sort of sessions that would happen where you're breaking people down so the brainwashing gets in. Like that was what was going on. Like that actually happened. So luckily I never went to those because I was like, I'm not coming in for those. That's overnight, basically. I'm not going to do that. But there was a guy on my team. He was at every one of them.
Is he doing okay? He didn't
He's
get
doing all
brainwashed?
right. Yeah, he doesn't work at WeWork. He's okay.
A few announcements before we go.
Welcome to Plathville starts up next week, so stay tuned for that. We're going to have new episodes, recapping every episode. What is it, season 7? Oh my gosh.
Season 7.
It is upon us.
Also, Shiny Happy People. It's back. There's going to be a second season of it. I forget exactly what it's called. It's something about focusing on teenagers in the Holy War. Something like that.
Well, it's going to tie in.
Ties in very well to Plathville.
Yeah, Plathville is very adjacent content for that.
So we're going to try to recap that as well. So keep an eye out because that'll all be happening in the next week or two here. Thanks for listening. See you next time.